Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2021 Transylvania University Pioneer Hall of Fame induction ceremony. I'm Justin Sweeney, Sports Information Director and the Master of Ceremonies for today's induction. The Pioneer Hall of Fame was founded by Transylvania's Alumni Office and the Athletics and Physical Education Departments to recognize former student athletes, coaches, and others who have made outstanding contributions to the field of athletics while bringing honor to Transylvania University. With the induction of the class of 2021, our Pioneer Hall of Fame members will now number 134, plus 3 teams since inductions began back in 1992. Those eligible to be nominated for the Pioneer Club Hall of Fame include alumni who graduated no less than 10 years prior to the year of induction, coaches with at least 5 years of service at Transylvania and 15 years of coaching experience and who have been away from Transylvania for at least 5 years, individuals who have made significant contributions to Transient athletics in ways other than playing and coaching, and a team which becomes eligible for nomination 10 years after competition and must have brought national recognition to Transylvania University. We are pleased that each of you are here today to honor our 3 new inductees. Today is a celebration of their accomplishments both on the court and the field, as well as in their professional careers. As we begin our program today, I would like to introduce Transylvania University's 28th president, President Brian Lewis. A native of Toronto, Canada, Lewis holds a bachelor's degree in political science from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, where he was a Moorhead Scholar and student body president. He earned a Juris Doctor from the University of Toronto. Lewis worked as an attorney and mediator in North Carolina before moving into higher education at Winthrop University in South Carolina, where he was an associate professor of business administration, the founding dean of University College, and vice president for university development and alumni relations. Lewis came to Transylvania after serving 8 years as president of Catawba College. Please help me now in welcoming President Lewis to the stage.
So, welcome to the campus of Transylvania University. Welcome to the brand new William T. Young Campus Center, which we just dedicated Thursday night, and it is such a joy for us to have pioneers in the Pioneer Room. And whenever I'm speaking in front of an audience, as some of you know, I try to keep in mind what one of my favorite professors said was the most memorable student evaluation he ever received. Because it read, if I only had 10 minutes to live, I would want to spend it in Professor Chait's class. Because it would feel like 2 hours. So I'm going to keep this very brief, but I do want to share 3 thoughts with you about athletics and the people we're celebrating today. One is I often get asked about, well, what is it about athletics at a place like Transylvania University? Student athletes here are often not expecting or planning to compete at a pro level or do something like that. So where is the value of what we're doing here? Well, clearly you all know it firsthand. But one of the ways that I see it was really beautifully articulated by the CEO of a bank that recruits at a lot of colleges. And I asked, what is it that you're looking for when you are recruiting people for your bank? And he said, well, of course we want students with a strong academic record. But especially within that, we're looking for student athletes. I said, okay, what does student athletics and banking have to do with each other? He said, we've just found out over time, these are people with strong self-discipline, strong time management skills. They've got a good sense of how to work together as a team to reach a goal. And if we don't have to develop those mindsets and those skill sets in the young people that we're recruiting, we're ahead of the game as an organization. And I'm sure each one of you who participated as a student athlete at Transylvania and have gone on to apply those things in your next adventures, that rings true. So congratulations for embodying that. The second thing I wanted to point out, a wonderful quote from George Will, who's an interesting observer of the American scene and a passionate fan of baseball, and he said this: Sports serves society by providing vivid examples of excellence. Well, today we are going to be celebrating 3 vivid examples of excellence. And you're going to be hearing more about these 3 outstanding individuals during the course of our program. But the last thing, and I hope it's something that each of these student athletes we're honoring today have really taken away with them beyond their Transylvania experience, is a wonderful quote from the late Arthur Ashe. And he said this: "You're never really playing an opponent. You're playing yourself, your own highest standards. And when you reach your limits, that is real joy." Today we're going to be celebrating 3 people who exemplify that, who brought real joy to their endeavors as student athletes. And today we get to celebrate that real joy with them. So what a special occasion. Thank you for making the time and traveling to the campus to come be with us, and enjoy your time at Transylvania, and go Pioneers.
Thanks again, President Lewis. Before we officially begin our ceremony, I would like to introduce and thank our Pioneer Club Advisory Club. These individuals have been instrumental in their work with the Hall of Fame, and we would like to publicly thank them for their hard work and dedication. First, I will introduce those who are unable to attend this afternoon. Please hold your applause for them until the end. Pat Deacon, Al Grash, Jeff Hopper, Natasha Mangiardo, Megan Maloney, Collier Mills, and Greg Turcott. I would ask the following Pioneer Advisory Council members who are in attendance today to please stand to be recognized. Coach Don Lane, a 26-year career head basketball coach at Transy, 41 years on faculty, and 20 years as an athletic director and Hall of Fame member. And members of the Advisory Council who are Transy staff. Kevin Calhoun, Assistant Athletic Director and Head Men's Tennis Coach. Julie Fulks, Senior Women Administrator and Head Women's Basketball Coach. Lee Oakley, Assistant Athletic Director. And Holly Sheely, our Vice President and Director of Athletics. Once again, please help me in thanking them for their work. We are also blessed to have other Hall of Fame members with us tonight. They have built the legacy that is Transy Athletics. Please stand to be recognized, and thank you for being here tonight. At this time, I would like to welcome to the stage Kevin Calhoun, Assistant Athletic Director and Head Men's Tennis Coach, who will be presenting our first inductee and conversing with them about their time at Transylvania. Our first inductee is Korey Colyer. Colyer was one of the first great pitchers to matriculate through the Transylvania baseball program, playing for the Pioneers from 2007 through 2010. Collier made his presence known on arrival, earning all HCAC honorable mention honors in his freshman year of 2007, pitching 55 innings and furnishing a 7-1 win-loss record on the mound with a 3.76 earned run average. Collier tallied 46 strikeouts in his 2007 debut season, while surrendering only 6 walks. Collier earned all HCAC honors in every season with Transylvania, adding a second honorable mention award to his mantle as a sophomore and earning all HCAC first-team honors in both his junior and senior seasons. Collier was part of the first Transylvania baseball team to win an HCAC regular season championship and a conference tournament championship, helping form the first team to qualify for an NCAA tournament in 2008. In his senior season of 2010, Collier pitched 86.1 innings with a 6-4 record, including 4 complete games and a total of 64 strikeouts. A local product from Lexington Christian Academy, Collier ranks first in the Transylvania record books for career wins with 22, batters faced in a career, flyouts forced, groundouts forced, at-bats in a career, and batters faced in one season. Collier ranks second all-time in Transy's baseball history in career strikeouts looking, as well as career innings pitched. His 179 career strikeouts stand 6th most in program history, while his 64 strikeouts in 2010 stand 7th all-time in Transylvania baseball history for strikeouts in a season.
Let's have a round of applause for Korey. Thank you. So, Korey, you were a member of the first baseball team at Transylvania to win a conference championship and play in the NCAA baseball tournament. What does that mean to you all these years later as you sit here today?
Yeah, well, it was quite an experience, I think, coming in. I grew up playing on really good teams and winning a lot of games, so winning was an expectation, I guess, coming in. But I also learned really quick that the team that was there already, a lot of the seniors, they had experienced a lot of adversity with multiple coaching changes coming up really to the season I joined. We had a pretty last-minute coaching change, and Coach Campbell was introduced as kind of an interim coach. So there was a lot of change going on and a lot, for that group. So coming in and winning right off the bat and at a level that the school hadn't done before meant a lot. And it was a lot of fun to see, the team that had been there for 2 or 3 years do so well and get to enjoy that when they hadn't necessarily from, the few years before. And I think finally I would say kind of, tradition or success has to start somewhere. So being kind of the first team to do that means a lot. But I think the team last year, they won the first game. So we went and lost 2 games. So, not as fun as it could have been. But see that they went and won a game was nice too. So.
That's great, Korey. And we received several nomination letters for you for this award, and many of them mentioned the passion and the fire that you had for the sport of baseball. And when we hear Justin mention the number of batters that you faced, that becomes really clear the fire and passion you had. What do you think contributed to the dedication that you had for your sport?
Yeah, I would say fire and passion might be another word of saying I had an aggressive attitude towards winning and not so great towards losing. I got that was a comment a lot from umpires and other teammates about how excited I would get during the games. But I just wanted to win. I wanted our team to win. That was always kind of the point of playing was to win, and we're going through that now. I have a 5- and 7-year-old, so I like for them to win. I understand it's not always the most important thing at that age, but I didn't want to come off the field until we won. And really throughout probably my junior year, before that, obviously, I was going pro in something other than sports, and I could pitch as much as I wanted to. There was no risk of injury. You're just out there playing to enjoy the last few years of playing a sport that you're going to do. So I think that helped with the innings pitched and the batters quite a bit because I had a good relationship with Dickie Booth, the pitching coach, and he let me just keep playing until I told him I was ready to be done. So.
And following up on that, some of your nomination letters described a time that you had broken a bone in your left hand and continued to play, and describing a play against Bluffton University where you fielded a ball with that broken hand and then had to dive to get an out to beat a player to first base. It would have been easy maybe to take some time off and not play, but what was it that caused you to play through that injury and continue to go even while you were hurt?
Yeah, so I think first I'd say we lost that game. So that's what I mostly remember about going all the way to Bluffton was then we lost. But, again, it was my senior year. I'd never broken a bone in my entire life, and so it was kind of disappointing. I wasn't even playing when it happened. I was actually in the dugout, and somebody hit a line drive and hit me right in the forearm. So that was pretty disappointing. But being told I could play was exciting. And, I think I wasn't ready to give up. I mean, I knew by the end of the year I was going to want to keep playing baseball, and this was all I had. So as soon as it was a chance to try to play, I figured I could make it work. And again, at that point, we were just having fun while trying to win. But it meant a lot to be able to keep going and playing. And I think as far as that play in the game, after you play a sport for so long, you just have an instinct to play. And you're not really thinking about, some small injury you may have or whatever. And I did enjoy the Bluffton athletic trainer was very concerned about me playing with a broken arm after that, but it was not a big deal.
So. Korey, one thing we know is that a pitcher is only as strong as his battery mate and his teammates, and we wanted to give you an opportunity here to thank anybody who has helped you get to this point in your life, to be here today, and to say a special thank you or two if you've got some of those.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'd say from a teammate perspective, the thing about baseball and really most team sports somebody's is critical to the game every game. So, whatever position they're playing, somebody wins every game in baseball and helps win every game. It's usually probably not one person. So I was blessed to have a lot of really good teammates through Little League, through high school, and then obviously here at Transy. So a gratitude to all of the teams that I got to play with and the fun we had, really, playing baseball, but on the bus and on the trips and staying in, 4 practically full-size adults, staying in queen beds and in hotels in Manchester, Indiana and whatnot. So, but I mean, I guess I would say definitely thank you to my parents, because they sacrificed a ton for me to play, my whole life. So that means a lot. And my wife, and my wife, who was my girlfriend in college or in high school, so she's let me kind of keep playing and supported me the whole time. So, and then I guess one last thing would be Michael. So we didn't play together a lot on the field, but he's the reason I think I'm largely here today. I know he spearheaded a lot of this, and so really appreciate him believing in me. And he's been my best friend ever since college. So that's been pretty great, and probably one of the best things that come out of going to school and playing baseball here. So.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's have another round of applause for Korey. Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations, Korey. Thank you.
Once again, congratulations, Korey. At this time, I would like to welcome to the stage Dr. Holly Sheely, our Vice President and Director of Athletics, who will be giving our second inductee their award, and also this time invite our second inductee up to the stage. Teresa Hensley-Green was an omnipotent force for the Pioneers in the early days of the Transylvania softball program. Known as Teresa Hensley during her collegiate days, Hensley-Green played for the Transylvania softball team from 1998 through the 2001 season, establishing several benchmarks which remain atop the Pioneer softball record book today. Hensley-Green excelled as both a hitter and a pitcher for the Pioneers, appearing in 132 games and making 64 appearances in the circle. She was a career 380 hitter and still ranks first all-time at Transy for runs in a season with 50 in the 2000 season and most triples in a season, spearing 6 in the 1999 campaign. From the circle, Hensley-Green ranks first all-times for fewest home runs allowed by a Transy pitcher, with just 4 yielded over 64 appearances, and first and fewest doubles allowed with 36 conceded over her 4 seasons. Hensley-Green completed her career at Transylvania as the 2001 Transylvania Female Athlete of the Year after an extraordinary senior campaign in which she hit .358 at the plate with 15 runs batted in 40 games and pitched 46.2 innings with a 1.20 ERA for a 7-1 pitching record. As a sophomore, Hensley-Green led the team with 30 runs batted in while pitching 117 innings and compiling an 11-7 record with a .71 ERA. She was selected to the NFCA All-Region Second Team and was named the team's Offensive Player of the Year, Pitcher of the Year, as well as its Most Valuable Player. Her junior year encore entailed a .357 batting average with 3 home runs and 19 RBI and a 2.14 ERA. She was regarded by teammates and peers as a team leader who led by example and served as a foundational member of Transylvania's early softball teams. Along with her excellence on the diamond, Hensley-Green starred for the Transylvania women's basketball team for 3 seasons and served as a co-captain for the Pioneers.
Wow, that says a lot before I even ask a question, but it's a great thing that you're a student athlete and I was a student athlete. We can pivot and not use their microphones and be okay, so thank you for doing that. There's no doubt your stats speak for themselves, and we've had a lot of great Transy softball teams, but maybe you could talk to us about what made you a successful pitcher and hitter.
Sure. Well, you will notice that they didn't say anything about my basketball stats. I did play basketball, but I was a defensive specialist is what I'd say, right, Terry? But with softball, I will say it was really a lot about timing. I mean, whenever I came to Transy, Mark Turner was the basketball coach, and he recruited me, right? And we didn't have a softball coach yet. And so he gave me the opportunity to be like, okay, it's going to be really a program that's in its infancy. And so I just took the opportunity, right? They needed a pitcher, they needed a hitter, a great hitter. And I really just took the talents that, I've worked on my entire life and, just did the same thing at Transient, right? And so our class, I think our softball class maybe had 5 players, and we really built the foundation for Transient. And then Kelly Anderson, she came in, was the coach, and she was fantastic, right? We really lucked into her, and she was also my assistant basketball coach, so we spent so much time together. But I would say it's just, taking advantage of the timing and the opportunity with the softball team.
Awesome. One of the nomination letters for your induction came from a teammate, Allie Cook. She said, quote, "There isn't another Transy softball player who was more important to the program. She was the complete package, and everyone, younger or older, respected her and knew she was our leader. It is one thing to be a great player, but you were also a great leader." How did you develop your leadership skills during your tenure at Transy?
Well, Allie, so nice. But I would say playing multiple sports was a good thing. So whenever I moved into softball, I already had a season under me, right? So, if you look at the Hall of Fame, I played with Marsha Webb, I played with LaTerica Young, I played with Ashley Sanders, I played with Elaine Russell, right? And they were such great leaders. And, I was able to take what they did, use it in softball. Of course, whenever you're doing well pitching or doing well hitting, that garners its own respect. But I was able to, it's the way you handle yourself too in tough situations. And I just felt like I learned from a lot of other people and was able to take that to the softball field.
Awesome. You also received a nomination letter from Christine DeYoung, who remarked, "I have never had the gift of working with someone as good as Teresa. What we see in her day to day is unparalleled and so determined by her life as an athlete." How did playing softball at Transylvania shape your career in life after sports?
So I'm an executive recruiter. So Mr. President was saying all the things that the bank, the CEO of the bank was saying, and that you look for in talent, right? And so you look for great discipline. You look for people who can, move at a really fast pace and come up to speed quickly. I work for a great firm out of Chicago, and I do CEO and CFO searches, and really that's what's expected of me every day. Working on, big projects like that. What I learned in softball and basketball really is what I do every day. So.
Awesome. Both are, I would say, all your coaches, Pat Deacon, Mark Turner, and Kelly Anderson, and players, as already mentioned, were in full support of your induction. As you reflect back now, who would you like to thank for helping you achieve this award?
Well, I'd like to thank all of them, of course. But Pat Deacon, she's just a legend of the program and was always around, and you can't not thank her, right? She's amazing and just such a beautiful person. Coach Turner, he recruited me here. He also took me on my first flight to San Francisco with the basketball team, which was huge. At that point, I'm from Flatwoods, Kentucky. We had driven to Florida, we had driven to Myrtle Beach, and maybe a Cincinnati Reds game, right? Getting on that flight was such a huge deal. Now, my husband and I, who also, played for Coach Lane here, we've traveled the world, and that was our very first experience. So that was so much fun. And Coach Anderson too, we went on trips with that, but she taught me, to love the Boston Red Sox, and she taught me how to be passionate about softball. And I'm a coach today, so I coach middle school basketball, and I take a lot of what they've given me too. And with Kyle playing on Coach Lane's 2001 team, he played with him for 4 years. I was surrounded by Coach Lane, Coach Woodson, Henry Ray was an assistant coach. Just great people, and Carol Jones, she was an assistant AD. So all of those people were huge influences. Harry Stevenson always made me laugh, and Wally Rose invited me to, his house for luncheons all the time. So just great people to be around.
Awesome. Well, please join me in giving another round of applause for Teresa Hensley-Green.
Congratulations once again on your induction, Teresa. I would like to welcome back to the stage Kevin Calhoun for a third and final induction today of Jerome Hoosier, as well as Jerome at this time. A guard from Louisville, Kentucky, Hoosier played for Coach Don Lane on the Transylvania men's basketball team from 1992 through 1997. During this tenure, the Pioneers encountered a golden age of winning at least 20 games a season while Hoosier was on the team. He is the 23rd highest scorer in Transylvania men's basketball history with 1,365 career points. As a freshman, Hoosier averaged double figures in scoring, playing in all 30 games as he guided the Pioneers to a 20-10 season. He missed his sophomore season due to injury, but returned with purpose for his redshirt sophomore season, amassing 523 career points over his first 2 playing seasons as the Pioneers qualified for their second consecutive national tournament appearance in 1995. Hoosier earned Great Lakes All-Region team honors as a junior in 1996 and repeated that feat as a senior. While Hoosier was with the program, the Pioneers qualified for the NAIA National Tournament 3 times, making the dance in 1994, 95, and 1997. A 2-time team captain, Hoosier appeared in 114 games, making 105 starts. During Hoosier's tenure, Transylvania amassed a record of 90 wins against 36 losses. Along with his 1,365 points, Hoosier registered totals of 453 rebounds, 418 assists, and 204 steals. He led the Pioneers in steals and assists in both the 1995-96 as well as the 96-97 seasons. During his junior year in 1996, Hoosier led the team in rebounds with 162 caroms.
So Jerome, when you were in high school, you were recruited by obviously a lot of colleges, and many of them were Division I institutions. So how was it that Transylvania emerged to be the school that you chose to be your home for college?
That's a funny story. And this guy right here, I call him the Jedi Guru, because the way he set it up was masterful. I remember we were right down here in this hallway, and I was coming out. It was my sophomore year, going into my junior year, and he said, "Hey, Jerome," in that little voice it is, "I know you got a whole lot of D1 schools that are looking at you, and you're probably not going to come to Transient." He said, "But if you decide that you go to a smaller school, we'd love to have you." He's like, "We're not going to recruit you hard. We're probably not going to make many of your gains, but I just wanted you to know that." I'm like, "Okay, Coach, thanks. I really appreciate that." So my very first game as my junior year, I look in the stands, and Coach Lane and Miss Lane come walking in the gym. I'm like, "Well, that's cool. You know, he's coming." The next game, he's there. The next game, Ray Brown's there. Next game, Coach Whitson's there. So it became a theme that every one of my games from my junior year to my senior year, he was there. I had a coach call me on the phone, and he was saying, "Hey, I was trying to meet your mom at the game yesterday." He said, "Is there any way that I could talk to her on the phone?" I was like, "Well, you just go sit next to her." He's like, "Nah, can't do that." I was like, "Why is that?" He said, "It's like a running joke, like your mom saves the seat for Don Lane." I mean, true story. She saved seats for Coach Lane, so it was kind of like, it was an element that I was going to end up at Transylvania. He knew that if you get to the mom, you get the kid. And look where he's at today. She saved that seat for him.
It's a good story, Jerome. Congratulations, Coach Lane. It worked. So, Jerome, we know that being a student and an athlete, especially at an institution like Transylvania, is very difficult, managing the time. How was it that you were able to dedicate yourself to be excellent, both in the classroom and on the basketball court?
I think, you come in, you're a little immature, and I was immature just like a lot of kids that come into college, but I also had to be mature because early on in high school I had a son, and at an early age. And I remember, I was kind of nervous about how coaches would accept me, how people would look at that situation. And I remember Coach Lane telling me that, "Hey, listen, if you come to Transylvania, I'm going to make sure that you graduate from here and you're able to take care of your son when you walk away from here. That's the most important thing that you need to do when you get here." And from then on, it kind of helped me start focusing on what I needed to do in the classroom. I still had fun. I still hung out with my teammates, and we had really good times, but at the same time, I was able to focus. And you're surrounded by a lot of kids that have that same mentality. I think that's so important to surround yourself with individuals that have those same goals and aspirations. And Coach Lane does a great job of bringing great players into the school, and now Brian's doing the same thing. And I had wonderful teammates. You know, it was just awesome. I remember Veith coming in, and I would always be doing something kind of crazy, and he'd be like, "Hey man, you better get home. We gotta go study. I know you got a test tomorrow." And he used to stay on me about that. Of course, Davon used to be the one that used to have me out having fun.
Well, listening to you here, Jerome, it's very clear that you have some great memories
Oh, yeah.
of Transylvania University and your time here. Are there any that stand out that you'd like to talk about today?
Any memories that stand out? Probably the one, and Coach would probably choke me for sharing this story, but I'm still going to share it. I remember it was I think it was like my sophomore year, and guys that play with me know that I'm a rowdy guy. I'm like Korey. I don't like to lose. I just don't feel like there's no such thing as second. It's only first, you know. And so I compete hard. I'm very passionate about the game, about anything that I do. I pour everything that I have into it. And so it just so happened that one of those games, I was pouring everything that I had into it, and we got beat. And so Coach Lane was giving us a speech, and he was talking about, you know, guys, you know, you got to play hard, you got to win some, you lose some. And, you know, and underneath my breath, being the young, silly kid that I was, just like, yeah, but we lost. Nobody wants to be second. And he said, "What'd you say, son?" And I stood up, and I said, "Coach, nobody wants to be second." And so when I stood up, one of my teammates thought I was going after him. So Lee Morrison grabs me and takes me out in the hallway and talks to me. And so the next day we're in practice, and I'm coming in, and Coach Lane's coming in, and we're passing each other in the hallway. He's like, "Hey, son." I said, "Hey, Coach, what's going on?" He's like, "Were you really going to come after me?" I was like, "Nah, Coach, I would never come after you. It's a good thing that you didn't, because I'd have got you." True story. True story. True story. I couldn't do anything but laugh. I was like, "Coach, you probably would have whooped me that day."
That's fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me in congratulating Jerome Hoosier. Let's give him another round of applause. Thanks, Jerome. Congratulations.
Congratulations again to Jerome. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us this afternoon as we welcome these three inductees into the Pioneer Hall of Fame. We would request that the inductees come to the stage at the conclusion for a few pictures with the president as well as the vice president of athletics. We would encourage you to come to one of our over 100 contests at home this year and cheer on our over 400 Pioneer student athletes. Catch all the actions as well on transysports.com. Drive safe, and thank you for your support.